So, I don't know if you guys caught Louise and Maxine's discussion, and Louise said, right, that I'd like to be the client because I've got something I'd like to you to handle that I get a lot. And it's the obvious response you get from the client, which is, oh, can you tell me about, well, before we start, can you tell me about your fees? And Maxine handled it brilliantly, so she just said, oh, do you know, I can see that's really important to you, and obviously fees are important to us. Before we go there, do you mind if I just ask you some questions? And the customer's not going to say, no, I want your fees now.
Yeah.
And if they do, then actually they're the ones missing a trick. Maybe there's something about, well, if I can understand what you've been through so far, or what you've tried, or what's important to you, then I can work out where our fees structure will sit.
Yeah, and can I just, I mean, again, if you get the cold, well, I just want my fees, one of the things I would say is, can I ask just why that is?
Yeah.
What you know, is there a reason you're so kind of concerned about the fees? What just talk me through that.
Maybe it's time scale and they've rang you at the wrong sort of time. Maybe there's a better time to phone back and things like that. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So this is on the phone sometimes, they'll ask you straight away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually is on the phone, to be fair.
Yeah. So, you know, really, you know, just understanding, and because what you just said was a brainwave, was when you asked the question, it was at the start of the pitch, and when we go back to this, it was the wrong time to answer the question, because we've got the food bank, whatever you call it, bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah, emotional bank account.
Emotional bank account, we've got nothing in there,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we've got no report, we've got
Yeah.
nothing about them. So what I did was I just paused the question to enable me to get a bit of credit,
Yeah.
for me to then kind of give you the fee, and then you think there's some value here, then I'll go in with the fee.
Yeah.
So I think that's, psychologically for me, that was a bit of a brainwave, yeah, because
And then the statistics to back it up.
yeah, it's just
Wow.
understanding that really we just can't answer that question right now,
Yeah.
because we have got nothing that we can move forward with this customer with right now.
Yeah.
So even though they want it desperately, we just can't give it because we don't know anything about them. And if we give it, like you've said, they're going to be gone,
Yeah.
because we've got no rapport. We haven't done any of the journey that we spoke about,
Yeah.
even in a little
Yeah.
form. So that for me is that's a game changer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Knowing,
It is for me, because if I
That's
was
where
to
the
do, I
fee
go
comes
at
in.
1%.
that's where the fee comes in, and you're asking for it here.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You're completely the wrong place.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
And that's why you might find sometimes those conversations shut down quite quickly,
Yeah,
because they don't know you don't know anything about them, they don't know anything about you, they don't know you've got the most incredible photography package, the only agent in the area to have it.
yeah,
They don't know how much you're going to put on the line for them, they don't know how committed you are, they don't know about this wonderful team that you've got supporting you. They
yeah,
don't know any of that.
yeah,
They cannot, they don't know that you're going to ask them about some things they didn't even know themselves,
yeah,
because we'll get to that next. But your insight impact, so right at the start here, if that comes up early doors, exactly as Max said, just hold that space, don't answer the question. You don't have to say I'm not going to answer the question, you say acknowledge it. I really appreciate the fees are important to you, they are absolutely important to us. If you don't mind, first of all, I'd really like to understand your current situation. I'd like to make sure that I understand exactly what you're looking for, because we also have different services that are available to you depending on the fee.
Acknowledge their needs.
yeah.
And as you said, actually, like Shanice has just said, there is different fees for different packages.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And at that point, that could be a reason why. So often we'll say it does really depend. So can I just ask a few questions about your current situation?
Yeah.
Even if at that point you don't get any more than a phone number and a name, but you can go back to them and say, I know you were shopping around. How did that go?
Yeah.
I've done that before, but the minute they dial and their number's on the screen, I'll be like, valuation. And even though I might not get anything out of it, because they might have just been doing the ring around for fees, I've just thought, right, I'll go back to him. And that's how I started the business, actually. Because remember, the business started with me and no one. And it starts with one person. So if they ring and they're asking for fee, at that point in time, I might have not been able to get them right then, but I'll say, how did it go ringing around? Oh, this is ringing me back.
Yeah.
Pick your number up and I didn't mind, and that's how it started.
Well, we've had one this week, the first one that I put on the board this week for a market evaluation, and she went, I have been on the market with somebody else, she says, but I don't feel like they're doing very good for us, and I just feel that Wilson's been really proactive. You've rang me several times, you've left me messages,
Brilliant.
that brings that 5 calls
Brilliant.
in.
Yeah.
You've been really proactive, you've really chased me, I'm now sending Shanice out, is it this week, for a market evaluation.
Well done.
And do you know, this is so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than 1 in 3 sales succeeds only after the vendor has changed agent.
Why
More
is
than 1
that?
in 3. You tell me.
Because they would probably reduce the price, which is similar sort of fact.
Yeah.
And or it may be that the agent just isn't doing the right job. You know, the agent's taking the buyer around, and when they're showing them around, they might be disengaged, they might not be managing the process properly, might be following up. Could be all sorts of reasons,
Yeah.
but you
Taking the
guys
wrong
will.
buyers to the wrong houses. We talk about our applicant management,
Yeah.
how we use how we, Lauren was a good example of that. Sorry to
Yeah.
speak about a bit in absence, but Lauren was a good, taking people out that had no affordability while on
Yeah.
housing benefit
Mhm.
and is outside our criteria. That's a good example. When we register a buyer, what do you want? What are you looking for? Do you want work? How many bedrooms do you want? Would you consider 3
Yeah.
when you've got 2? What are the bedrooms for? All of those
Yeah.
questions could be a
Reason.
failure of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Because-
absolutely right. There's
Because
so
we haven't
many
answered
different
the
reasons, aren't there?
questions.
So many different
Yeah.
reasons. I mean, even to the point where if the house is listed with somebody, I mean, there's agents where I live, where I
Yeah.
come from, there's agents in the town that are quite Marmite.
Yeah.
People love them or they hate them.
Yeah.
So to the point where if it's always someone, you've got the ideal buyer out there who won't buy that house because it's on with that agent.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
be something as random as that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
must admit, watching your web the other week, and it's about the 5 calls, that made me then continue to call them.
Yeah.
Because you'd have sort of 2 or 3, and I'm thinking, oh, should I really keep bothering them? But then after watching that, I thought, yes, I am. I absolutely
Well
am.
At least to assist it, you're like, yeah, I'll do that.
yeah.
Tenacity, that was it. Tenacity.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep
And
going,
the 51% is good if you're trying to.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on that bit for Shanice
Yeah.
because that's good if you're going to somebody that wants to go on higher than the market,
Yeah.
and that's, you can use that as well and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
Just so that you know,
Yeah.
nearly 52% of sellers fail to sell within 10 months. If you're not time constrained, we'll absolutely test the market for you.
Yeah,
Depends what you want, It's always about balancing priorities, isn't it? Is it speed?
yeah,
Is it price?
Yeah.
Is it quality? You
I
Yeah.
think that's handy to print out and just keep it in my folder.
yeah,
yeah.
And
yeah.
then I can pick and choose with the right client.
Which of those? Yeah.
What's
Have
the
your
best.
pitch prepared, as Justin said,
Yeah.
before you go,
Yeah.
so you know which one of those they sit in
Yeah.
and what's your pitch
Yeah.
going to be, so you're planning what you're doing.
Yeah.
So like you said, when you're going in, you know exactly kind of what you want from the outcome. Yeah,
Yeah, right at the
Yeah.
start, yeah.
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 Brilliant.
Good. Okay, so we're comfortable with that. We've got
Yeah.
a number of different options.
Yeah.
What I would say is, have a look at this
Yeah.
website as well. So when I send the digital,
Yeah, I've written
Think
that
through.
into my book.
it'll click through. Do it. If you don't do this, just do a bit of digging. This is one of the things I love about coming into different businesses.
Yeah,
I just start doing a bit of digging.
Yeah.
The stuff I find is remarkable, but it's all out there.
yeah,
And it's everything that makes you makes you the expert. Doesn't make you look like the expert, makes you the expert.
Yeah.
You know this stuff.
no one else is going to be taking that out. That's fact.
And then you can start to go, well, I think, the reason we think this is the case is, multi-factors. One of them could be pricing. One of them could be the proactivity of the agent. One of them could be, you could
Yeah.
start to weave this in, and they're going, these guys really know their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to manage this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're all over it, and that's what people want, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay, so this is Insight Impact. We have kicked off our process. We're away, and you've built your credibility. You're comfortable with delivering this, and it creates this platform for the rest of the sales process. Right. I think we've probably just talked about this a bit. Is there anything else that you want to reflect on in terms of this start of the process?
I don't think so.
No, it's good. It's good. I think we're all in the same place as well, which is
Yeah.
great. What time are we having lunch next?
12:30.
So
That's what I just looked at then.
Perfect. We've got half an hour.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So
All those hungry bears.
we kicked off. We're made to, all of the time we're building our relationship. All of the time we're continuing with rapport, matching, mirroring, body language. At this point, when you get to here, this is when it should start to feel really natural because you're going to be interested, you're going to be asking lots of questions. This is about discovering what needs they have. Now the challenge at this point is for most salespeople or agents is that you've landed something like 51% of houses on the market for over 10 months. And they're kind of, blimey, really? And what do you think that is? And you're having a discussion about that. then you kind of, it's really tempting now to go, and the reason Wilson's are so good, and we do this and we do that, you've got to this is where it really tempting, you must stop yourself. You deliver some insight to build credibility, to stimulate interest, then you've got to stop that and back off and go, oh, before we go there, let's just talk about you. Right, it's all about their needs. This is about discovering what they need from you. Okay? Really, really important distinction. Don't go beyond that initial insight impact and go to pitching. Not yet. You can only discover needs by questioning and listening. It is the only way. And questions have so much more power than answers. So the more questions you ask, the better your insight into your customer. So foundation for questioning, you must be interested, you must ask open questions, and you must listen carefully. Right? You also must embrace silence. We'll talk about that in a bit. Now, before we go into full needs discovery, I don't know if you ever find yourself having to qualify people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do this probably before you do the insight impact. You've already qualified someone, but you will find that not all clients are as serious as others. Not all clients will buy or market their property. Some people just tire kickers or time wasters. Yeah, they're just seeing what's around. So actually, you want to invest the right amount of time to qualify them as well. Just check that this person's serious, right? You don't have to break rapport. You're still treating these people as valuable potential clients, and you're still thinking, actually, long term they might choose me, even if right now they're tire kicking or wasting time. But long term they've got to have a positive experience so that they come back to me. So the kinds of qualifying questions that you can ask up front, this isn't an exclusive list, but these are the kind of things, obviously about property type, but what's the reason for the move, the sale or the letting? What's the reason you're looking to do this? What timeline are you working to? If someone's vague about timeline, it's a flag that they might not be serious.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the reason? What's the timeline? Who else is involved? Who else is involved? You know, like decision maker. If it's a guy on the phone, is it you and your partner, or is it who else is involved? What attracted you to us? Well, if you're just one of the agents they're ringing around, but what attracted you to Wilson? Well, you're on a list. Oh, okay. Anything else? When are you looking to make a final decision? When, as you go through the process, when would you be looking to make a final decision on this? What's the most important factor in your decision? Because if the answer here is not sure price, you've got some work to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. So right up front, arguably this could come before the insight impact, but it's under needs discovery and questioning. You want to get to, let's just qualify, let's make sure that this customer is serious. Now you need to be careful not to let that come across in your tone. Because if some of the answers you get to these make you think this person isn't serious, right? You don't want them hearing in your tone and your body language, right, I've just disengaged. Because you want to stay engaged. Don't let, if you get a load of red flags here, just say, no problem at all. Yeah, okay, sure. Well, absolutely, at the right time for you, we can help. We would be delighted to help. We believe we're one of the best in the market. We have lots of things going on. However, from what you told me, maybe we need to look at, scheduling a call or something in the future. Would you like me to come back to you in a month's time when perhaps you've done a bit more research? Whatever it is, manage it. But don't go chasing tire kickers.
Yeah.
Because they will tie up your time like nobody else. And you won't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Just literally had this valuation, so Shanice had, when we kind of went through the week, we had 13 valuations in a week, and Shanice was like amazed because, as she said, really the conversion wasn't there, and she said a lot of them were rubbish. So immediately I started to kind of get a bit more involved and started saying, right, well, let's rate the valuations. What do we know about the customer?
Yeah.
And as you say, a lot of the time when we get that, we do desktops. So, can we schedule, so really what you're looking for is just an idea of what it's worth, once you've kind of fact found, and we can do what's called a desktop valuation, where we kind of give them an idea of what it's worth based on what they've told us, So would it be fair to say it's around this sort of figure, if that's what you're looking for at the moment, and then we can call you back in the future?
Yeah.
We're obviously careful about how we do it because we don't want to seem disinterested.
No,
And this John Nelson Way or whatever it was a quite similar one to that. We asked him how much he wanted. He said 210. We'd had one on at 200. We didn't have a sniff on it, and they'd part exchanged it at 195, hadn't sold, and others in the road. So we were careful because we did kind of want to build rapport with him,
yeah,
but we also knew his expectation was a little bit too high,
yeah.
and so we've kind of, but we did still go out because that was the right thing to do. But one of the key thing I think with this is that someone says, can you come out and see me today or tomorrow, and you go through all of this list, you then say, well, before we book a timing, can I just do this? Because then what you can do is say, I'm actually fully booked this week, but we can come next week.
Yes.
And you know you're only putting in a 20-minute allocation,
Yeah.
so you manage your diary better. So you think, well, obviously we're not going to ignore the customer. They are thinking of selling at some point, but they're not urgent. They're not looking to move till next year. We don't need to send Shanice out at 6 o'clock at night.
Exactly. Prioritise and then plan it in when it suits you
Yeah,
and them.
yeah.
You're
It's been
absolutely
a
right.
big thing actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's great.
Okay, good.
The
So
same
that,
as poor as she needs to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's it. Well, the thing is, it's very difficult. You can't convert somebody who's not ready, as you've rightfully said. And you know, we need to make sure it's the right time for everybody, for them to, and also it's the waste of their time. You know, if what they're looking for, they could get a different kind of result, maybe from a desktop or something like that. Then as a customer, I've done millions of them. You know, they've actually been more than happy and said, "Look, we'll keep in contact with you. This is an idea. Is that enough for you at the moment, or do you physically want us to come out? We can come out."
Right.
But so it's just
yeah.
it's closing at the right time, like you've said, based on this. But I like the what's the most important factor in your decision, because I think at the moment you're asking them what's more important, price or service, and you actually physically telling them that.
You'll make it binary, one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really key.
Yeah,
So
you're asking
yeah.
an open question. And
yeah.
you might say, you might put an S on there. What are the most important factors?
Yeah.
But it kind of
Rather
hopefully
than-
gives you.
Don't give them the answer to the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you're going to ask an open question, you want their answer, not
Yeah.
the options that you've given them.
yeah. And I don't know if I've got it in this. I don't know if I've got it today, but I've built. I'll share. In fact, perhaps now's the time to share a principle with you. There's a principle called the Devil's Dilemma.
Okay.
Okay. And the Devil's Dilemma says. I've got it. I'll maybe find it at lunch. The Devil's Dilemma says there are three key principles that customers want. Three key things customers want. They want the best price, at the highest quality, and the fastest possible speed. Okay? Best price, highest quality, fastest possible speed. The reason it's called the Devil's Dilemma is because you can only have two of the three.
Yeah.
So pick two.
Yeah.
Do you want it fast and really good quality? You're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
Do you want it fast and cheap? It's not going to be very good.
Yeah.
And if you want quality and you want price, you're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
And that is the way the world works. Right? That's not you as agents, that is the Devil's Dilemma, that is what it is. So knowing that, if you start to sense that somebody wants everything, you have to be careful not to say to them, well, let me tell you about the Devil's Dilemma. But you can say, actually, commercial realities are that you've got these three things happening, and most of the time we have to make a trade-off.
Yeah.
Which of the three do we want to compromise on?
Yeah.
So the price, speed, and quality.
Because there are a lot of dreamers, aren't there?
Yeah.
Like you said.
No.
And you do need to sometimes just put them in space, but
Yeah.
it's how you put them in
Yeah.
space.
Just be able to explain it carefully, so you're not offending anybody. You're just kind of saying these are the commercial realities. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
And I even ask them to think about it in other situations. Think about it in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
You've got to make choices. So, profiling or qualifying that person in advance. Just make sure before you spend a load of time that they are serious. They're the right client. You're the right agent. There's a compatibility there. Then we go into the sales process. Okay. So that is. This will be in the deck that you get. We won't do this because I think they probably give you what you need, don't they? Those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay, we won't do that. All right, so, types of questions. So I've covered this partly on the webinar. There are 3 types of questions when you're asking kind of clients for their needs. There are open questions, there are closed questions, and there are probing questions. Okay? Open, closed, and probing. So, most of the time, you will use open questions. Most, like 80% of the time, you use open questions. What I notice when I work with teams, and whether it's teams that work for me in the past or clients I work with, when we start talking about open questions, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I always ask open questions. And then when you're put them in front of a customer or a member of their team, and they tend to default to closed questions. I don't know what it is, we just do. There's a really simple tip to asking open questions, and that is just to remember, start with what or how. If you can ask any question starting what or how, you will be asking an open question. Okay? I've got why highlighted in red there, and there's a good reason for that. When you ask someone why something, it seems to tap into defensiveness.
Yeah.
And based on what I've learned over the years, I think it's related to childhood. You know, I said about you learn most of your stuff, your beliefs are set between 4 and 12. Between the ages of 4 and 12, we get asked, why did you do that a lot? Or why didn't you do this a lot by either parents, teachers, or you know, adult role models? And it creates a defence mechanism in us. We don't even realise it's there. So if you ask someone why something, rather than what are your reasons for something, it's amazing the difference you can break rapport very quickly by asking why at the wrong time. So I tend to remove it from my vocabulary.
Yeah. It's an explaining word, isn't it?
Yeah, it's justify. I have to justify
Yeah,
myself.
I've got to explain why.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't tell you.
And that's exactly where it
Yeah.
comes. That's exactly how it triggers. But it can trigger people. Not everyone, but a lot of people can get triggered by a why question. So I use what or how. What are the reasons, or how did you come to that decision? And it just softens it, and you'll find that it also makes people think a bit more logically.
Yeah.
You kind of get logic when you ask what are the reasons, or how did you come to that decision, or whatever. So just put what or how to the forefront of your mind when you're asking questions. What or how, what or how. I've done that. I'll explain it. I have so I have a series of questions that I tend to work with businesses on. So this isn't agent specific. There's loads of stuff in here that might be useful as a kind of bank. But what I encourage people to do is start to think about the questions you ask. Start to think about the open questions you would ask most clients, to really kind of dig into their motivation to buy, their preferences, and to get an understanding of what it is that's going to get them to make a decision. And when they make that decision, what is it they're considering? Because you can unlock all that. Everything you need to know is inside that person's head. The only way to get it out is to ask questions and listen. Yeah? So there's loads of stuff. These aren't all going to be relevant, but you know, what's your highest priority? What's the achievement you're most proud of? What was your greatest learning? What could get in the way? What are your 3 biggest challenges? What contingencies have you put in place? What if it goes wrong? What are the big decisions you're going to have to make? What's the criteria you'll be using to make those decisions? Who is helping and supporting you? Who's involved in decision making? What have you found most difficult in the past or now? What has been most difficult? What are you most afraid of? What keeps you awake at night? That's a great question.
Nothing. Not me.
I sleep like a lady. If we had to prioritise one thing to focus on, what would it be? What should it be? If you wanted us to concentrate our efforts in one area, what one area would that be? So there's lots of ways that you can, frame up questions that are going to give you a window into your customer and make them think, God, that's... Because when people ask us good questions, we interpret that as a sign of intelligence,
Yeah.
and it strengthens, you know, the deposit in the emotional bank account, because you've challenged me in a positive way to think in a way I wasn't thinking. So if you were thinking about how would you like to work, how do you like to work with agents? What would you consider to be best in class? What would you consider to be best in class? They'll tell you, well, I'd like to see this, I'd like to follow up on that, make notes, right? What have they done, you know, so what have they done that works well? What is it you like about it? If they're with someone else, what do you like about them? What would you advise us to do that would be an improvement on what they've done? Not so much that one. How do you both benefit? If you were me, what would you ask yourself? Asked that before. If you were me, what would you ask you? And they kind of probably ask. And it puts a magnet, it kind of pops out. And then this is a bit of a magic question that we'll talk about later. If you could change one thing, what would it be? If you could change one thing, what would it be? That's really, because that normally something, if someone's being closed with you, that question unlocks it. There's just one thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Questions?
so it's your turn. Just to give you an opportunity to kind of start to think about, maybe some questions that are working really well today, you want to just capture them, right, here's what I ask. Just an opportunity to capture the questions that you want to keep forefront of your mind. So these are open questions, high quality open questions. Do you want me to put my
I
list
don't
back
believe
up?
it, I need the toilet.
Ah, that's alright, no, carry on.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
Problems.
Do you want my list back up as a prompt? Or are you okay, yeah? Pop those there, yeah. You're vendor controller these, aren't you?
Sorry?
You're vendor controller these,
No,
aren't you?
sales.
So, your
Yeah,
sales.
so you will be doing VMUs.
Oh yes, we'll
Some
do
of
those,
them,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, starting from Tuesday, yeah.
So might need to think about some of that.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They were the ones I was kind of, as you were saying, I was thinking they would work,
Yeah.
so they were the ones I was kind of looking at.
Yeah. And this is about giving yourself some time to kind of get straight on the kind of questions you can ask clients when you're going in to meet them, because sometimes we kind of go, we're so busy. This gives you a chance to sit back and think straight.
assuming we're making a selection from this, are we?
Oh, if there's stuff that you do, questions that you ask that you think are useful as well, just pop this.
Pop them on.
That's a prompt, but anything
Yeah.
that you think is useful, it's about kind of having them lined up in your mind
Yeah.
going in. And think about like emotional connection. We talked about the
Yeah.
house earlier, didn't we? And
Because it depends on the scenario, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. Yeah.
So mine was sort of a bit around vendor control.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tell me when you say vendor control, what's that term?
That's our so when we have a property on the market that's each week we call the client and have a review. We send them a report from Rightmove, the Zoopla on the market on a Monday, and then we call them on the Tuesday and we discuss the activity, how we're going to move forward. So one of the key things out of that would be how we can improve.
Yeah.
How do you think we can improve our service to you
Yeah.
if we're not having any interest? And it might be quite a straightforward answer, but again, if you've sent them the results and the statistics,
Yeah.
you can then go back to that and say, we're having a number of viewings. You could then say, as you can see, obviously, with the greatest women in the world, we can't, unfortunately, I wouldn't actually say it, but sometimes I have said it, can't be driven from stone. But I would probably at that point say, you can see obviously the evidence and the amount of activity we're getting on there, and we do feel that is down to price, as we've spoken about previously. So you can link that back to, if they're still saying that they don't want to reduce the price, what would you advise we do more to offer a better service to you? So we kind of get them thinking about the fact that we're speaking to them every week, we're giving them regular feedback, we're sending them the activity reports, what the market's going to do. Like you've said, we're the best one in the world, we're not miracle workers.
No, you're not.
You don't have to physically say that, I have said it in the past.
Yeah. But you can
I
say.
keep saying, look, we don't have to say it. Well, I have.
Depends on, again, it
I
depends
was
on
like
your
over here like,
report.
yes, you have.
I've grown.
It depends on your report as well, so you know that you
Yeah.
can and can't
Yeah.
say that kind of thing to you, so you
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, sometimes when you outwardly say that, it sounds terrible. You're like embarrassed. You think, oh, God, I didn't say that to someone. But because I had the report,
yes.
I would
You can.
say, like,
You got the
I'd love to be a
get
miracle
away with
worker,
it.
but the facts are,
Yeah.
these are the facts that remain. And unfortunately, as you've said, commercially, this is what's against us, and
Yeah.
therefore, what else do you, we want to offer a great service to you. Is that what we want to?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just go on.
No, it's true. We do.
Just tell me to stop.
We're doing everything in our power.
Yeah.
We've done everything in our
Yeah.
power.
So, what else would you advise me to do to improve my service to you? So that mine's around that really, because at the moment there's a lot of people sticking on the market and all that kind of jazz. So,
I mean, feedback on how we can improve anyway is never out of the way anyway, is it?
indeed,
No,
absolutely.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Good. So what questions have we got? Should we have a quick?
Oh, a couple of the MU ones that are obviously starting that next week. There was a couple of questions on there that I have pinched. So like a property that's been on for a little while, basically find out what have they found the most difficult about having the property on the market, and making sure that they've got contingency plans in place to see if it does sell and they haven't got somewhere, or they've got to move somewhere but theirs hasn't sold. It's having that contingency in place and who's helping and supporting them through that. So really just finding out those, and obviously again, what can we do to improve our service to you? So any kind of feedback like that. Obviously the question's open, so they're free to roll on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some of the other ones are obviously just when your sales ones are coming through, about what could get in the way of your plans, what could go wrong,
Yeah.
thought about that. Who's involved in decision making? Do they need, like we had, I think it was grandparent that put a deposit down, that obviously caused a bit of a waylay, didn't it?
Yeah.
So knowing that there is going to be the extra sort of evidence that we're going to be requiring, things like that, it just puts us in position that we know to chase certain things. So
Yeah.
You're right. And there's always going to be stuff that comes out your left field.
Yeah.
literally.
But hopefully with asking as many good quality questions as you can,
Yeah.
you'll get the majority of information that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think again it's more vendor focused, but it's especially the time of year, I feel if we ask the landlord upon instruction, once we've got everything agreed, if we do notice that there's been a bit of a void period, or if they're a new landlord, or they're a bit new to the market, how would they react or adapt to market change, or even understanding the market necessarily? Because you do get a lot of not necessarily open-minded landlords that feel that the market doesn't necessarily change for a year, and we don't especially this season, it's automatically going to be a quieter period, and they need to appreciate that, and they need to understand that as well. How's that going to affect them financially? What would they like us to do differently opposed to other agents? And just making sure that they've got all the advice that they need for the time of year it is, and how the market is reacting to that, and how they adapt to that assumption.
Okay.
And what we give them.
And that's quite specific to this time period where you've got a quieter.
Yeah, or again, it's about that rapport and understanding whether they're new to the industry, or they don't necessarily have a lot of properties in their portfolio, and they just need that extra support and a bit more advice that if there ever is an occasion that goes a bit quiet, then this is what's going to happen, but this is what we're doing. How's that going to affect you? How would you react to that? What would you want us to do differently? And just kind of mixing it all together and carrying on.
So that's if there is a quiet period for them.
Yes, yeah.
So they might have a place unlet, not let.
Yeah. And if they're relying on that rental income, then we need to make it known from the offset that if there is ever an event where this will happen, you need to be prepared for this, and you're going to need to react to how the market's changing. It will get better, and we always reassure them with that reassurance. But it's just making them aware if they're new, if they're a new landlord.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And is that to share some insight with them, but also get them mentally prepared for contingencies and thinking about
Yes, yeah, exactly. Again, so it's not necessarily a shock, and they know that we've prepared them for that from the offset. So that's probably more focus, I'd say.
Okay.
In a downturn, how could you, and again it's probably not really probably off the train track here, but in a down market when you don't get interest and things aren't developing, what could we do to change that, do you think?
What if we just get no interest whatsoever? Well, it's difficult because there's a variety, but not all will necessarily work. So obviously you've got the standard rental reductions, you've got new images, but then I think there does get a point where we sometimes, again, this is all about providing advice, that we need to tell them that if we feel there's works that are needed, and they're not necessarily willing to put their hand in their pocket, they need to understand that. And they need to appreciate that if you want this gone, especially within the season that we're in, this X needs to be done, that needs to be done, and this needs to be done as well. And if they don't necessarily agree with that, again, you don't do it in a way where they feel very defensive. You're quite openly honest with it, and you're quite easing into it. Say these are the works that need doing, and we definitely feel that they'll have a beneficial effect on the market and how we're advertising your property at the moment.
These are recommendations we would make to help.
Yeah.
More attractive to potential clients.
Yeah, because what I've noticed is not a lot of people will necessarily be open to advice, but they don't always ask for it as well.
Yeah.
So if you go forward to them and say, look, this is what we feel it is, you won't necessarily agree that, but and then if you've got figures to back that up as well, then they kind of notice that you're not chatting BS.
And all those questions, as you said right at the outset, that have come up, that actually, those questions are quite, you can ask as many questions as you like.
Yeah.
And not be afraid to. So.
Absolutely, yeah. You give yourself the right to ask any question whatsoever.
Mine obviously, because it's a slightly different role rather than the vendor marketing updates.
Yeah.
I've sold a few from yourself that I've been using. However, I've got a couple more down, which is how can I help you achieve what you're after? How have you came to the decision you were wanting to move? What are your expectations of your chosen agent? And my favourite one is there any reason why you wouldn't choose Wilson's to market your property?
Okay, good. Do you ask that one a lot?
Yes, if I feel like I need to close them in at the end, I would like to know feedback. So I would like to know if there is any reason why they wouldn't choose Wilson's to market their property. because I feel it gets them thinking, it takes
Yeah.
them back a little bit, and I've had people turn around and say, no, actually, no. So they don't really have anything more they can say unless
Okay.
I've got more questions to ask me that I try to fulfil.
Yeah. I like it.
But
I would prefer it if it was the other way around.
okay.
So, rather than saying, is there anything about you don't like, or would stop you from using us,
Yeah.
do it the other way around.
Okay.
What do you like about us?
What is the one thing we need to do so that you choose us?
Okay.
So it's the same principle,
Yeah.
but you're asking them to tell you what you need to do to win it,
Yeah.
rather than saying to them, is there anything that we have done that you don't like? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
It's
essentially
it's
they just
subtle.
focus on
Yeah.
the negatives.
Right,
rather than-
it's subtle,
Yeah.
but it
So
might just
focusing
help
on
you.
not negatives but the positives.
Yeah. And the question is, maybe there's something like, I think we cover it in presumptive questioning, but it's something like, there's a way to ask this question. This might not quite be, but bear with me. If you had already chosen us,
Yeah.
if you had already instructed Wilson's to market your home, what would we have done to give you the confidence to choose us?
Okay.
That's good. Really like that. And I think as well, with the way that the question's being asked,
Yeah.
if I can just say, I think no one's going to say no in their house. The way that it's
Yeah.
currently being asked. If someone was to say to me, is there anything that would make you not use Wilson's, I wouldn't be offensive
Okay.
and say no.
Okay.
I don't know whether you'd get an accurate
Yeah,
answer.
because people don't want to offend you, especially if you
Because
could
it's
report.
quite a defensive question.
Okay.
People
Yeah.
would probably think you're lovely and, oh gosh, I
Yeah.
couldn't say I don't want to use them
Yeah.
because nothing to do with Shanice, it might be
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think, yeah,
So what was the way you worded it?
yeah,
So
brilliant.
So I said, if you had already chosen, or if you were to choose us,
Yeah. Yeah.
what would we have to have done?
Sorry, I wrote really slow.
No, that's right, that's right.
What would
We,
we have to
what
do?
would we have done
Yeah.
to convince you we were the right choice?
Okay.
And then just in relation to that, just so we can add a bit of weight behind that. So in terms of if a customer was to say, well, what do you mean by that? Then being able to respond to that.
Yeah.
So, just making sure, do you feel comfortable asking that question? And then if I was,
Backing it up.
if I was to say, well, what do you mean?
Yeah,
What do you mean by that? How would you explain that?
yeah,
So you don't, so
Yeah.
there we hit where we
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
working on.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, we need to then look at what, if the customer says, well, I don't really understand the question,
yeah,
then we need to have some backup there,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
know how to
Yeah.
answer that and you're prepared.
Yeah.
yeah. And basically all you're asking them to say is, if you went forward, you're going to make a decision on this, right? Let's make the assumption you've already decided and you've gone with us.
Yeah.
What have we done?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What do we do to convince
Yeah.
you? That's all you
Yeah.
want to know. Because already in their head, then there's somewhere in there they're making a load of judgments about who they're going to choose and why. Right? All you want them to tell you is this is what it takes for you to win. You can't ask that.
yeah,
You can't say, what's it going to take for me to win you over?
yeah,
Right? But you can say, if you chose me, what would I have done?
yeah,
That's it in a nutshell.
yeah,
If you'd already chosen us,
yeah,
we did everything you want us to do, what have we done?
Yeah.
yeah,
Because they might say, well, actually, you've given me enough, Shanice, based on what you've said. I think we're going to go with you.
Yeah.
yeah,
I just need 24 hours to think about it. Or they might even say, yeah, do you know what, we will.
yeah,
But all you're looking for is, because they might say, well, one thing I'm not clear about is, and it's not what's stopping you, it's if you had chosen, well, one thing I'm not clear about is what you'll do about this or what you'll do about that, and it will
Yeah.
unlock something.
Yeah.
yeah,
That question's designed to be, the final couple of things that are in their head that you haven't got to,
yeah,
either they're not thought about them or you just not got to it, it unlocks those last couple of things.
yeah. It's a really amazing question, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, really fantastic. And so long as you feel, like you said, just feel confident
Yeah.
in asking it, but ultimately, like you said, you just flip it on its head. And if they'd have chosen you, what would that reason be? So you're just kind of asking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So long as we can prepare ourselves for that, then
Yeah.
at least then if they were to say, I can't really know what you mean, because some people
Yeah.
are like,
Yeah.
not that intelligent.
But I tell you why you're right. So that the other thing that question does, and I think I know I've got a slide on it coming up. That question embeds a command.
Yeah,
So the command is you will already have chosen us in the future. You don't need to say that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what you say. If you got to a position where you had chosen us, what would we have done to win your trust or to make you believe it's the right
Yeah.
decision? It gets them to go forward to a point in time where they've chosen you. They tell you that, and then they come back to now and they think, oh, I've chosen them.
Yeah.
It's already
yeah,
you implant a command.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it doesn't work 100% of the time, but it ups your rate significantly.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to that, the kind of being different and what we do and what we say.
Yeah.
And there won't be many agents asking that
Ask
question.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
You know, there won't be many questions.
Yeah.
There won't be many agents doing a lot of what we do after today.
Mhm.
So that will be a game changer. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to, you've written it down there, Shanice,
Mhm.
come back to that question yourself and kind of say, actually, if you were going to do it in your words, what would it be? Because you'll have an
I was just about to say, I
interpretation.
want to put my own stamp
Yeah.
on it, make
Yeah.
it my own, feel comfortable to discuss
Yes.
it with them.
Yeah.
So it comes across natural.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
that
please-
I'm just
please
reading
do.
it out
Yeah.
from someone else.
Manipulate the
but-
question a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it.
Shanice
it.
Shanice-ties it, I like
Absolutely.
it. Shanice-ties it, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got some good open questions there. Remember to, this whole thing about curiosity, constantly be curious about the person, about the house, about the circumstance, about everything. If you foster that, I'm so curious about stuff, people will love it.
Yeah.
They love talking about themselves. You just direct your questions, right? Let me understand that, let me understand that. If there's something in the house, oh, wow, I see you, this doesn't look like an original. What went on here?
Yeah.
How did you decide that? You know, this is unique. Just people love it. They absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if other agents are just going in and going, right, yeah, you've got a lounge here, you've got a there, yeah, okay. If that's all they're doing, and you're taking this approach, you will just blow everyone away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a similar exercise with Andrew where we registered a client, I think we were on holiday, we registered an applicant, and she was an investor, and we were taking out viewing, and I said, oh, you know, what is she looking for? Is she looking for yield categories, you know, what do we know about her? And anyway, it kind of transpired, I had a conversation, we did a bit of role play, and by the end of it, this woman had said to me, I can't believe the service I've had from you. And it was just brilliant, and she was so shocked, and I was like, okay, what are you looking for? What's your long-term strategic plan? You're an investor, you know, you're looking for yield, you're looking for capital growth, all these things, and then we started to kind of unlock, and then we got her out viewing, and she was like, oh, definitely give them you back to rent. And like you said, I mean, I can be quite selfish in a lot of ways, so I will only spend time with people that have done the pre-qualification. When we look at and applicant management, that's kind of where you just want to get those questions in really early and really fast to determine whether or not they are going to be someone you're going to go out viewing with, because time is money.
Yeah, it is, yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know, and I used to be, when I was a sales negotiator, I used to be ruthless. I used to be like, right, tell me everything about you.
Yeah,
And then, ultimately, I then decided whether I was going to spend time or not.
yeah. Well, think about it
It's
this
obviously
way.
you're not saying that, but you could actually come back to
But think
Yeah.
about it this way, right? We can only physically be in one place at any time,
Yeah.
at any point in time.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're with somebody that's wasting your time, you are not with somebody that won't waste your time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a constant battle of priorities.
Yeah.
So you can't afford to be pulled into places with people that you haven't qualified, that you don't know are serious, because they'll just burn your time, and your time is one thing you can never get back.
Yeah.
You can replace money, you can replace anything else, you cannot replace your time.
Be a busy fool.
Yeah,
That's that's you know, those applicant management or the valuation forms, all that kind of stuff is just, they're tools to help you get the best out of your job
absolutely.
and make it easy, really.
Yeah, and your time.
Yeah.
Best
and
day
your
of your
time.
best day
Yeah.
of your job. Okay, we are
I
at
don't know where it is,
20 to
let me go
1.
and find out where it is.
Let's check, because it might be a good time for a natural